CEO falls to the floor crying, "I can't walk." The single dad's secret shocked everyone the moment Rowan Kessler collapsed in the center of the sunlit boardroom. The world seemed to freeze around him. The CEO, known for his strict, unshakable presence, fell with such suddenness that even the senior executives gasped as his legs buckled uncontrollably beneath him. Papers scattered across the polished floor, coffee cups rattled against the long table, and a stunned silence filled the room as Rowan clutched his thighs, trembling in panic. The mighty, fierce leader of Kessler Innovations was sprawled helplessly under the glare of the midday sun, tears brimming as he whispered that he could no longer feel his legs. Only one person in the room moved toward him, Jonas Hale, the quiet janitor and single father who had slipped in moments earlier to replace the trash bag. No one paid much attention to Jonas ordinarily, but today, all eyes shifted when he knelt beside the fallen CEO with a strange kind of calmness, as if he understood something the rest of them didn't. In that single instant, two worlds collided, one of power and one of perseverance. And the truth waiting to unfold would shock everyone who thought they already knew who they were. If you believe in second chances, humanity, and the power of kindness, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Touch of Kindness Stories. Your support brings these real-feeling moral stories to life. That Rowan's collapse became the turning point of a story that had actually begun months earlier, long before the day he found himself on the floor unable to walk. Jonah Hale, the quiet janitor who rushed to his side, had been working at Kessler Innovations for only 7 months, but most people in the company barely noticed him. He arrived early, left late, and carried a weariness in his eyes that only single parents truly understood. Jonas had a 10-year-old son named Silas, whose chronic heart disorder required more medical visits than Jonas's fragile paycheck could ever comfortably support. Their life was a series of sacrifices, cheap meals, secondhand clothes, and nights spent praying that the latest hospital bill wouldn't drown them completely. Jonas never complained. He kept sweeping floors, scrubbing windows, and collecting trash with the quiet dignity of someone who had no room for self-pity. Meanwhile, Rowan Kessler had built his life on thunderous ambition. His company stood tall, a skyscraper of inventions and patents that revolutionized household medical devices. Yet for all his business brilliance, Rowan lived hollowed out inside. His wife had left when his obsession with work consumed every part of him, and his young daughter lived with her mother overseas. He drowned himself in deals to avoid feeling the distance that separated him from the only child he still loved. Stress gnawed at him day after day, until it began manifesting physically: numbness in his legs, burning sensations along his spine, moments where his knees buckled without warning. But Rowan ignored every sign, brushing them off as temporary consequences of working too hard. He refused medical attention, fearing weakness more than pain. Jonas had seen the signs, even from the periphery. As someone who vacuumed offices and polished glass walls during late hours, he often witnessed Rowan limping or gripping furniture for balance after late-night meetings. Jonas noticed how Rowan's fingers shook when he tried to support his weight. Once, Rowan nearly fell in the hallway just as Jonas turned the corner. Rowan had tried to regain composure immediately, embarrassed to be seen vulnerable in front of the janitor. Yet Jonas did not react with judgment or surprise. Instead, he simply stepped back and allowed Rowan to gather himself with dignity intact. After that moment, Rowan avoided crossing paths with Jonas more than ever, because deep down he knew Jonas had seen the truth he was trying so desperately to hide. But ignoring symptoms has consequences, and that came crashing down the morning Rowan collapsed during an important product pitch that could secure a $100 million partnership. The boardroom was packed with investors, executives, and department heads. Pressure pulsed through the room like static electricity. Rowan stood at the front with his presentation remote, ready to command the room as he always did. But halfway through explaining the new spinal support exosuit his company planned to launch, his voice faltered. A sudden wave of dizziness washed over him. The polished floor swayed beneath his feet. His right leg buckled, then the left. Within seconds, he collapsed entirely, hitting the floor hard as shock traveled through his body like a jolt of lightning. The room turned chaotic. People grabbed their phones, unsure whether to call security or medical help. Some simply stared in disbelief. No one moved closer to N01 except Jonas. He rushed to Rowan's side, heart pounding as he gently checked the CEO's pulse, breathing, and leg responsiveness. Rowan's face twisted with fear he had never shown in public before. Jonas knew what to do, not because he was a janitor, but because of the life he lived before tragedy stole it from him. Before he lost his wife. Before Silas's condition left him drowning in debt. Before circumstances stripped him of the career he once had. Jonas Hale had once been a licensed physical therapist specializing in neurological rehabilitation. He had once been celebrated in his field. But after Silas's heart failure crisis 4 years earlier, Jonas had abandoned everything, sold their home, drained their savings, quit his job to keep his son alive. He never told anyone at the company about his past. No one ever asked. Now, that secret resurfaced with unstoppable urgency. Jonas placed a steady hand on Rowan's lower back, assessing muscle tone, testing nerve response with gentle pressure. He recognized the signs instantly: sudden motor loss, nerve compression, stress-triggered neurological collapse. It was dangerous, but not irreversible. Jonas told 2 executives to call emergency services, but he also instructed someone to bring a cushion, another to elevate Rowan's legs slightly, and another to dim the light that was overstimulating Rowan's senses. His instructions were calm, clear, and precise, and even the highest-ranking officials obeyed without hesitation. They watched in stunned silence as the janitor they had never truly noticed took command of the room like an expert leading a critical operation. For a moment, Jonas saw flashes of his old life: the clinic he once owned, the successful patients he helped, the confidence he used to carry. But he pushed the memory aside. Right now, Rowan needed stability, not nostalgia. When paramedics arrived, they were impressed by the immediate first aid care Jonas had given the CEO. They transported Rowan to the hospital with Jonas' assessment written on the medical sheet because it was accurate, professional, and detailed. Word of the incident spread through the building like wildfire. By afternoon, every employee knew the janitor had saved the CEO from potential permanent paralysis. While Rowan underwent medical scans, Jonas waited anxiously in the hospital hallway, unsure whether he should leave or stay. He didn't want recognition. He simply wanted Rowan to be okay. Hours later, a doctor informed him that Rowan's condition, though serious, had been prevented from escalating thanks to Jonas' immediate intervention. Rowan wanted to see him the moment he woke. When Jonas entered the recovery room, Rowan lay beneath the soft glow of afternoon light. He looked different, not like a powerful CEO, but like a man who had finally stopped running from his own exhaustion. Rowan thanked Jonas with a sincerity that cracked through his usual stoic exterior. Tears glimmered in his eyes, both from fear and relief. Jonas felt his own emotions rising, remembering all the nights he wished someone had stepped in for him with half that kindness. They talked for a long time, about pain, about children, about responsibilities that stretched the heart thin. Over the next weeks, Rowan's recovery journey required daily physical therapy, nerve exercises, posture training, and emotional decompression. Surprisingly, Rowan requested one person specifically to join his therapy team: Jonas. He wanted someone he trusted, someone who understood him not as a CEO, but as a human being whose body had given out under the weight of unspoken burdens. Jonas agreed cautiously, unsure whether he could balance it with his janitorial job. But Rowan had already spoken with the HR department. He offered Jonas an official part-time therapist position within the company's new wellness program, something Rowan admitted he should have established years ago. It meant better pay, flexible hours, and a new start. Weeks of sunlit therapy sessions followed, with Rowan slowly regaining strength. Along the way, he learned about Jonas' past, the career he gave up, and the hardships he faced raising Silas alone. The revelation shook Rowan deeply. He saw Jonas not as an employee beneath him, but as a man of extraordinary resilience. The respect he felt was profound. He also began making changes at work, restructuring the company culture, encouraging work-life balance, and implementing mental health resources for all staff. Jonas' story had opened his eyes on the day Rowan took his first unassisted steps across the rehab floor. Employees lined up and applauded. But the loudest applause wasn't for Rowan alone. It was for Jonas, whose humility seemed to shine brighter than the sunlight pouring through the windows that Rowan strengthened. He vowed to repay Jonas not with money,